I'm going to talk to you today about why the tinnitus community is one of the most toxic communities on the planet, with a personal story that happened to me today. I joined a tinnitus Facebook group to try and share my hope and inspiration. And I messaged in there, I used to be severely stuck in the tinnitus despair, and now I'm traveling the world. And I posted a picture of the ocean. And I get a comment that says, you're sick, man. We're all suffering in here. How could you be so positive? And I paused for a second, and I told this person that, well, first I was just shocked that such the vitriol and the hatred from just sharing, hey, I was stuck in tinnitus despair, and now I'm traveling the world living my dreams, and just the sheer vitriol and hatred was just like, I knew the tinnitus community was toxic, but I didn't know it was this toxic. And what you have to understand is that suffering becomes an identity for people. They lose their silence. They are stuck in the despair. Things aren't going to change. They really latch on to these mental loops, and it becomes their identity. It becomes a safe space for them. If they give up the suffering, they have to ask the question, who am I now if I'm no longer suffering? Recovering from tinnitus requires an identity shift. It requires you to let go of that suffering. And if someone has been stuck suffering for years, stuck dooming on these Facebook group, doom scrolling online, doom reading all of this content, researching all of these cures that are never going to happen, all of this voodoo stuff, these snake oil stuff, the supplements, going down this rabbit hole, which just pushes you further and further into despair. They build an identity around their suffering. The classic example is the blind man in the Bible. And Jesus says, do you want to see? And he's like, well, I've been blind for years. And he starts making excuses. And Jesus is like, no, do you want to see? It's clear that this is a classic example of somebody who has made their identity in their suffering. This happens in tinnitus. This happens with pretty much any person that is suffering. And so doom feels safer than hope. And it sounds like a paradox, but the thing is if they think, if I stay hopeless, at least I can't be let down. I'll say it again. They think, if I stay hopeless, at least I can't be let down. That is why people stay hopeless with tinnitus. Because to go on the path of habituation, to really dedicate yourself to this, there is a possibility you can be heartbroken. You can be let down. Nothing's guaranteed. And that is terrifying to people. People would rather suffer their entire life because it's comfortable than step outside of their comfort zone, have an identity shift, really go for it, try to hit a home run. They would rather stay comfortable. And there you have it. And I could go on and talk forever about how this destroys dreams, because it's easier for people to stay in comfortable jobs, comfortable living situations, comfortable marriages and relationships that maybe aren't beneficial for you, but you stay because it's better than having nothing. Your identity becomes your inability to accept that life is not certain. You do not have the luxury of certainty in life. There is the possibility that nothing works out. And people with tinnitus that have made their identity, their tinnitus despair, don't want to accept that. They don't want to accept that they could be let down. So they say, if I stay hopeless, at least I can't be let down. It takes a tremendous amount of courage to go on the habituation journey, to let go of your identity as a tinnitus sufferer and step into a new identity as somebody that can overcome anything. It takes an insane amount of courage. Most people don't want to do it. That's why they stay on these forums, and if you go in there and post anything positive, you're met with vitriol and hatred. Here's the thing. Trauma loops the nervous system. This is what you need to understand. Their minds and bodies are stuck in fight or flight, hypervigilance, fear of sound, Okay, so the brain literally can't accept new information when they're stuck in these states. So if I come in and I try and explain to them how I survived, how I went on to thrive, and my life is better now than before I had tinnitus, the process in which I did it, how I've developed an app that has a free trial, and it's literally everything I've done to habituate. And if you do the exact same steps, you'll likely get a similar result, because habituation is a scientific process that we can recreate, and we know that. We have the literature and the evidence on that. The thing is, people see that as danger. They see that as uncertainty, and they don't want to move on it because their nervous systems are overloaded with the tinnitus doom thought loops, and they can't process new information. So they fire at you with these comments that they're not really attacking you. They're just defending their worldview, because they want to believe that this success story that I'm saying is true. But if they have to believe that, they have to let go of their worldview and their identity as a tinnitus sufferer. And like I said, for someone who's been in it for a very long time, it's an identity. It's losing an identity. It's very painful. It's very scary. It's a form of ego death, and it's terrifying for the ego to have to let go of something that's so familiar, even if it is their suffering. Right? Watch the movie Shawshank Redemption. He talks about institutionalization. Brooks, the man, gets out of Shawshank Redemption, the prison, and he can't adjust to the world because he's been so institutionalized, even though it was a toxic environment that was enslaving him. Because he was in that so long, freedom was terrifying for him because it required a new identity shift. And that's exactly what happens to people that stay stuck in the tinnitus loop, in this stuff. They don't want to leave. They don't want to suffer, but they've made it their identity. They can't fathom letting go. Here is the other thing I want to talk to you about. Victim mindset gives people control. I'll say it again. A victim mindset gives people control. Okay? When people believe there is a cure, when people believe there is no cure, nothing helps, I'm doomed, then they don't have to try anything. They don't have to change habits. They don't have to face fears. They don't have to regulate their nervous system. They don't have to do the uncomfortable work of recovery. The victim identity becomes a shield for them. Because giving up the victim mindset is saying I don't have control. But paradoxically, letting go of your control is what frees you from the tinnitus doom loop. But you have to let that go. It's terrifying for people. So what I have done is put together every single step that I have habituated inside of an application. 7-day free trial. Go and check it out. The cancel is 2 clicks of a button. That simple. If you decide that it's working for you and you like it, it's $29 a month. It's very affordable, and it has every single step that you need to habituate. And this is my life's work. This is 4 years in the making. And I'm so proud to be able to bring something like this to you. I wish this existed when I had tinnitus. It would have made everything 100 times easier. I had to figure this stuff out on my own, and I'm literally handing it to you. So go check that out. Make sure to smash the subscribe button, like and comment on this video, and I'll talk to you later. Peace.